All right, today's project is gonna be this Seeburg LS325. I think it's called an Apollo by nickname. Kind of the backstory behind it, I think it lived most of its life, if not its entire working life, in the VFW on a small town outside of Ames, Iowa. And then it was picked up by a husband and wife who then brought it home. It just needed a little something, as they all do. Never really got to it. Sat in the garage for a long time and then got moved out to a climate-controlled shed, barn, whatever you want to call it. Very large to be a shed, but not like a huge barn either. So it got moved around, and whatever was wrong with it never really got fixed. As you can see, it is filthy, barn fresh, but I think it's pretty cool. I think these are supposed to be blue. It gives kind of a blue ambiance. And then I think this lights up in like a red or like an orange color. And there's supposed to be selections that show here and whatever different information there. That's how you select whatever song you want. This is supposed to be kind of a light blue color, this whole grill. But as you can see, well, I don't know. Maybe I clean it up and the dirt comes off, right? And then it is still blue, but it kind of looks silver. There's lights that show up back here behind that. That's supposed to be kind of neat. But on initial inspection, after I pulled this up, and we'll go there next, is I'm scared of the amp. The amp looks rough. Those are, I think, at least in my experience so far, where you start losing all your money. I have another jukebox, I guess, and probably the biggest, most expensive thing with this one were the needles. You know, the needles were $125 on this thing, and they were bad. So, you know, you got to be careful when you go to buy stuff like this and how beat up they are, because, you know, say you give a couple $100 for it, and then you got to spend $125 just on the needle, then you're looking at, you know, a pretty big investment before you start troubleshooting literally anything else. So I did a little bit of homework on this one. The needles aren't too expensive. The parts to build the amp back up aren't terrible, but, you know, chances are the volume control in it is bad. I haven't really looked on the back to see where any of that stuff is. I think there's your on and off switch, right? And then I'm guessing probably a cord went in there. There's the coin box with no bag or door, which is a bummer, but whatever, what can you do? But yeah, let me open it up and we'll take a look. All right, it's hard to do with one hand, but effectively what happens is you slide this thing out this way and then lift up. I'm not sure if it's supposed to sit on these or what. It doesn't look like it wants to, but again, this thing's kind of in rough shape, so we're gonna have to mess with it more than likely to make it happy. But there's the amp. Lots of corrosion on the top. there's the volume pot back there. Let's see if I can open this up and give us a little bit more room here. So I want to say there's a lever right here. Should be another one down there. And then maybe these pop open. Yep. Yeah, look at that. I mean, let me try to shine some more light in here. Mice. Pretty nasty. So, first project is going to be getting rid of all of that because that's disgusting. But this gives you a little bit more, you know, of an idea on the condition. If I'm not mistaken, let's see what kind of amp this has in it. Oop, lost my light. So you pull this lever back, and then it's got a little finger hole that you can slide this out. Ooh. Nothing looks great. Definitely see some mice got in there. Oh, look, there's a quarter laying down there, but let me see those couple wires where these caps are. Looks like they got chewed. So hopefully that's all there is to that. But back to what I was looking for. What is this amp? TSA 8. Boy, that's tough to see, isn't it? There it is. So yeah, the amplifier is going to be a concern. Boy, that doesn't look good, does it? That's concerning. Yikes. This is just, I don't even know where this goes. One thing I did do before I brought it home was I kind of stuffed some stuff in between here and here. There's screws, or bolts rather, that are covered with a mouse bed. Clear down in there. You're supposed to tighten those down. There's 4 of them. There's one in the back you can see is super loose. Well, I don't know if you can see it or not, but maybe. Yep, it's all the way up. So that one's down, which is good, but you know, you need to secure all 4 of them, because when you're moving these things in a trailer, you know, they want to shift and move and do their thing so that the record won't skip if it's playing. Well, you don't want this thing moving around as you go down the road. I couldn't get to it, so what I did do was I took all the records out of there. Because you don't want those sitting in there and just... If they are any good, which, you know, who knows with this if they are, for as long as it sat outside, hard to say. But if they are any good, they may not be after a trip on the interstate. Man, look at all that. That's like a mountain. Gross. It's not a capacitor or a battery. What is that thing? I don't know if I can reach it or not. Kind of afraid to stick my hand back here. Let's see what this is. Seeburg stereo pickup. Yikes. Well, I guess we're gonna find out. The good news is I didn't have to invest a lot in this. So there's that. You know, other amplifiers could be used instead of this exact one, which I think, like I was just saying, was a TSA 8. But, you know, you don't know until you try it. This doesn't have tubes. This is just a solid state. So it's got the capacitors in it. So once I get all this crap cleaned out and I'm, I don't know, barely confident that it won't catch on fire, I'll turn it on to see if the lights will turn on, if the bulbs are any good, which they probably are not. And I'm confident it's not going to do anything because of the rat nest that's probably built all the way up in on that mechanism back there. But it's fun to see them light up. So I'm going to get a vacuum all that stuff up. And then I'll probably start wiping some of this stuff down. It'd be nice to see what I got in here for songs. The records that I took out look like they were actually in pretty good shape. They didn't look warped, and they didn't look super scratched. So those are all kind of signs of what you're in for. If they look like they're pretty beat up, they're probably going to sound that way too. But I'm going to go ahead and get the vacuum out and go to town here. Well, before I start vacuuming, I figured I should really try to get into the top, and I figured it out. It wasn't hard. It was just kind of corroded to a point where it didn't want to open. But effectively, once you get this piece off, the labels themselves, then this just lifts up, and then this is kind of like your kickstand. But yeah, more bad news. Those are tweeters, which look like they're full of mouse nest and grossness. Mouse nest everywhere. Yeah, not thinking those speakers are gonna get fixed. If there was a cone left in there, I could do it, but there ain't nothing left. So maybe I can get a cone kit, I guess. But boy, is that tough to do. It's time consuming. It's kind of expensive. I mean, not crazy. Like maybe you'll have like 50, 60 bucks in a kit or something, but nevertheless, it's more work than I really feel like doing. But the fun continues in here. Just mounds and mounds and mounds of mice. They basically chewed this thing up for all they could. I don't see a lot of wires that got messed with, so I mean, that's reassuring. But I mean, you know, if they were in here just tinkling on everything, I guess for lack of a better term, you know, all of this is a bummer. But I'm going to go searching for quarters. There's a whole bunch of quarters in the bottom of this. This record is awesome. It's probably no good. Almost for sure no good. But Guy Lombardo, Hot Time in an Old Town Tonight. And I can't ever remember how to say it, but this is the New Year's Eve song. So I need to clean this up before my wife sees it. She's already not tickled about this one. Yeesh. so I got it vacuumed out. This is my next biggest concern. That thing is basically stuck in there. If it shows me signs of life, like it could be fixed, I'll take all this stuff out and I'll clean the base even better and probably spray paint it so that it's at least uniform looking speakers. But that's the selection unit. That's like the brain of the whole jukebox that tells all this other stuff what to do. And if that's no good, then, you know, and the amp's no good, and this is probably all super rusty, and the speakers are bad. The only thing that we've got is just a, you know, kind of halfway decent cabinet. You know, it's just too much to fix. Oh, I forgot to vacuum this out. I'll have to come back and do that. Oh, they put a couple dryer sheets in here. I'm sure that was helpful. There's all the mouse beds. They lived in there for a while. I'm thinking these are probably bad. And even if they're not, like, I'll ruin them cleaning them. So, anyhow, here's all the little treasures, fuses. I think this is probably a shipping bolt. Quarter, not sure what that is. Another quarter, a little wheel, some speaker wire, some sort of transformer. The locks, found a couple of those. Some half-eaten stuff, more fuses. I don't know where all those came from, but all right, well, maybe I'll plug it in and see if it'll do anything. I'm not convinced that it won't just catch on fire, but whatever, we can try it anyways, right? All right, so I kind of slapped it back together. I feel kind of, I don't know, not as scared that it'll catch on fire, but with all the damage it's got, we'll just plug it in. I heard it pop. Hey, we got some lights, which means only that it's got current to the ballasts. Hey, we got lights up here. So that's a start. There's no light bulbs back behind this one, and they're a special size, which I don't have. But yeah, so I mean, there's something. I don't know if it looks any better with the lights off. Kind of neat. Kind of looks like fireworks, I suppose. So now I suppose we're gonna need to wipe this thing down. I've got to take a few more things out to vacuum behind it. But probably the best thing to do always is to get a towel or something and try to wipe off as much of the dust and dirt as you can, because as soon as you start spraying stuff on there, it starts making mud. So I'll go ahead and unplug it and start cleaning. All right, so we're gonna start cleaning some of this nastiness off. Now, for as dirty as this is, you know, you could go right into it with a bunch of spray cleaner. You know, stuff like Simple Green. There's some other stuff I really like that I get from Walmart. I'll find that here in a minute. But you're just going to be wasting it at this stage. You know, you basically just want to brush it off with a dry towel, get as much of the dirt up as you can so that you're not making mud and just pushing that all around. And then you want to just use, you know, water, like light soapy water, you know, get a bucket of clean water and then squeeze your rag or your sponge out into that. You don't want a lot. You don't want it like dripping into the cabinet. You just want a damp cloth or sponge just to try to get the top layer off, and then we can start attacking it with the other stuff. So I'm going to start working on that using air nozzle and towels and all the rest. right? So like the worst thing in the world could have happened. My memory filled up and I couldn't show you the last couple minutes of getting this cleaned up, but look how nice that looks. It's awfully pretty. This is just water. No soap, not dripping wet, just a wet rag. You got to push real soft on this because it's this part back here, because it's just this plastic. You don't want to break it. And then also there's just a little bit of stuff holding it up in the back. So cleaner will help us get the rest of this out. You kind of got to be careful because you don't want to just saturate this stuff and have it drip down in. Then you're taking everything apart to get that cleaned up. I'm guessing this is tape residue. Sorry. Same here. They taped off the coin. They've probably tried making it free for a while. Who knows? Same with this over here. So I'll use, I'll try Goo Gone. Citrusy stuff seems to be the thing that gets all that stuff to come up, but it did clean up really nice, which is why it's so sad that the inside is so destroyed, because a lot of times it's the outside that's really bad and the guts are good, but when the mice get in it, especially this one's pretty gnarly. But one thing I do have to say, and some of the earlier comments I made, is that this sat outside. It didn't sit outside, it sat outside of a house, like internally, if that makes any sense. It wasn't inside where you could just walk over to it and play songs from your dinner table. You know, it was in a garage like it is now. Mine is climate controlled, so it's heated in the winter, air conditioned in the summer. And when that happens, see how this is kind of flaking off? This is even more representative of that. And down here, you know, you've got little places where the paint that's on the back of this glass expands and contracts at different rates than the glass does. So when it's really cold or it's really hot, it just kind of starts to ruin that stuff. So it wasn't sitting outside getting rained on. It was always covered inside, but not in a climate controlled place. So I think my next step is going to be to start wiping this off a little bit more. I've got an idea for this grate, because these are holes and it's kind of serrated and it looks like all the blue is still there. It's just the white mesh behind it is super dirty, and then it's hard to get into every single crack. I'll spray it down with cleaner, and then I'm gonna try to use, this is a tool I got on eBay however long ago, but you hook it up to an air nozzle, and it lets just a little bit of water come through, but then it sits there and scrubs in there as you go. So I might try that, which is gonna be kind of a lot of work because I'm gonna have to take this whole piece off, take these wires loose, drop them down, and take it outside or something and put it on a table so I'm not ruining stuff on the inside of the jukebox. Doing it on there I think would be a pretty bad idea. Can't really make the inside of it any worse, I suppose, than it already is, but nevertheless we're gonna try. So that is kind of the next step as far as getting this to look good. And then maybe I'll try picking this lock back here. This lets me get in behind the mechanism. I think there's a way where I can unlock the track and try to bring the mechanism this way, but I don't know yet. If I can do it without getting into the back, then I will. But I don't want to buy any more parts or do anything if that mechanism's shot, because this just turns into a really pretty case. And you know, if all the internals are bad, like the amp, the selector, and the brain that's over here that's just literally covered in rust, there's almost no chance that is any good or could be fixed, I wouldn't think. And then the mechanism that sits in the back that slides and forth and picks the songs. If those three things are all bad or need a lot of work, you know, this is gonna look really pretty, but the cost to fix this would be more than it's worth, which is not really trying to make money doing it, but it's certainly nice to have enough money to go buy a different one versus just breaking even, because then you're just working for free, you know? But yeah, it looks pretty for what it was. So we'll try cleaning that next, kind of go from there. I figure I'll show you what it looks like all lit up. Kind of pretty, isn't it? For a nasty old jukebox that it came in here looking like. So songs, now that it's all wiped off, before I really start getting into cleaning it, I didn't ever get to look. I Got a Woman by Ray Charles. That's a great song. Let's see, Frank Sinatra. Tommy Dorsey, I think that's big band stuff. What else we got here? Glenn Miller, In the Mood. That's a pretty recognizable song for sure. Aretha Franklin, Respect. Wow. Fats Domino, Blueberry Hill. That's a great artist anyhow. Jailhouse Rock by Elvis Presley. Patsy Cline. The Coasters, Yakety Yak. Ring of Fire, It Ain't Me Babe by Johnny Cash. That's two of his probably most famous songs. School Day by Chuck Berry, that's great. My Ding-a-Ling, that's funny. Nat King Cole. I'm probably missing some as I'm just kind of scanning through here. Three Dog Night. Joy to the World, that's a great song. Sam the Sham. Wooly Bully and Little Red Riding Hood. I have this in a different jukebox, and those two songs are awesome. Chapel of Love. That's a good oldies song. Hank Williams. The Cliftons. The Diamonds. Let's see what we got over here. White Christmas, Bing Crosby. Guy Lombardo, that's... Oh, I hope that's not the record that was sitting down there. Those are certainly the labels, but... Let's see. Big Bad John, that's a great one. It's an oldie. Elvis Presley. Didn't I see him over here somewhere too? I did. Dean Martin. Yeah, there's some great songs in here. So, Sam Cooke, You Send Me. Twistin' the Night Away. That's a great song too. The Supremes. So, lots of good music, probably for what I paid. If any of those records are any good, then this is probably going to be, I don't know, at least worth cleaning and getting. I don't know if it's going to be worth fixing, but it would sure be a shame to let, if this cleans up nice, it'd sure be a shame to let it go to waste, wouldn't it? So, I found some of the parts I know I need. I think the amp might be savable, but that main unit, I don't know if it is. So, let me get some more light. All right, so the cleaning process continues. So, that's kind of the scummy water I had in my clean bucket, and that's just the dirt. So again, you know, water is real cheap. You know, these cleaners are all real expensive. This is a plastic conditioner, Simple Green. Here's the one I was talking about earlier. Mean Green, you can get it at Walmart. Super strength. I've used it on pinball machines and it works real nice. You just let it sit on there for a second. But like everybody always says, test a place before you do it. I've had real good luck with that stuff. And, but it has on a couple occasions kind of started peeling some of the color up. But most of the time it doesn't. So, you know, kind of use at your own risk. But the top cleaned up real nice. It's ridiculous. The outside is really in good shape. Another tip that I can try to show you with cleaning is like, this is still dirty, and that's why this is there, but it's also kind of pitted. Here's some tape, but these are pits in the chrome. Other than that, the chrome on this is great, you know. But over here, you know, a little bit of that. So what I've done before is you get some aluminum, fold it over on itself, kind of make yourself a square, and then get a cup of white vinegar and dip it in there, make sure it's nice and wet, and then you just sit there and you rub on this stuff, and the aluminum is so soft it won't scratch any of this chrome, but it'll dig up the pitting in it. And then what I've done when I, you know, after it's all over is you wipe it down with a wet rag so it doesn't keep getting crazy. And then put some polish on it or something, and then it shines up real pretty. But I've got another jukebox that was a Seeburg as well, where, I mean, if you look at just this section right here, that's what almost all of the chrome look like. And if you see on here, I mean, we're really just talking a couple bad spots there. This is all, you know, still kind of dirty, but in good shape. This is a little pitted. But this is where everybody would put their hand, you know. They're sitting here looking at songs. Got their hand on the side of this resting. So I don't know if that's a direct contributor, but certainly could be. Again, you know, this stuff is not perfect, but boy, does it look nice. So next thing, like I said, I'll do is I will pull that, I'm gonna pull this whole top off, I think, and get this outside, spray some cleaner on it, fill this up with some water, and go to work and see if I can't get some of that stuff to come off. So the cleaning quest continues on probably a real junky jukebox, but nevertheless, we're gonna give it a shot. All right, I lied. I'm not gonna keep cleaning. But if you look right here, ooh, see that pin? If I can get that out, it should pull this way. There's another one right there, I think. Boy, it's hard to see without the flash. There it is. See it? So I'm going to take those out and see if I can't get this whole mechanism to slide forward so I can see what's going on in there. All right, so I got them pins out. Now, I don't know if I'm going to have any luck getting it to pull out. And it might, you know, it says pull here, but I'm not convinced that it doesn't have to go. Well, no. The door isn't that wide in the back, so that must just be for quick access. So it's got to come out this way, right? We'll give it a try. We'll see what we got. Oh, what's this all about? Ah. Bring me in closer. So this is a little different. See that? It makes it so it won't slide So you got to pull that down, or hold that down and pull. So here you go, word of the wise. Maybe that helps you. Yeah, all right.
Is this thing full of batteries?
Hmm?
Is this thing in full battery? It isn't?
Nope.
So it's in glass battery? So it's all the way dead?
Take a look. Now that it's pulled out, let's shine some more light. Dang. They're supposed to be writing all kinds of stuff. Looks like I got some more cleaning to do back there. But, how's that? It's got a few concerning things, but maybe with a little bit of oil, it'll come to life. Don't you think? Boy, it is. I'm glad that this isn't full of mouse nests. It's really just stuff that fell. There's the needle and everything. It's still loose. The springs are broke, which go figure. But nothing really looks chewed on down there. So maybe I'll just pull this thing out and give this a once over. All right, we'll keep cleaning it out. But we got the mech slid all the way forward, and now kind of scrape and vacuum. All right, here's where we're at. Pretty gross. Finally got that loose and vacuumed out all the rest of the grossness. And just on quick inspection, this all looks okay. I mean, there's a pretty nasty chassis of it, of course, and I'm sure there's probably going to be some problems, but for the most part, it looks intact. I took the cover off of this and just put some oil in the main spots. You know, I took this piece off and put some oil under there. Same with that one. Lubed up a couple of the gears and different things that you can just see. And it's going to need much more thorough inspection. You know, the best oil to use for this stuff is 3-in-1. So I used that. I used a little bit of PB Blaster because I know I have to take this thing apart. I just was hoping I could get it to loosen a few things up just so it would want to, you know, fake doing something right. But I did plug it in, tried to run a song, nothing happened. Well, this was on off or service. It's got to be in the play position or scan. And if you push it down into play and you select a song, this will make some sounds, and then this will start spinning. But it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't really try to grab a record. It doesn't know what it's doing. Or it does, but a lot of, you know, these parts in here are corroded and stuck together. So that's where we're going to leave it for now. There's a little bit of life in all of it, but, you know, you kind of got to weed these things out by the project ruining piece. So, you know, first we thought it was for sure that. Then it's this next. Then it's the amp last. Because even if the amp sounds terrible and everything else is doing what it's supposed to, then great, you know, that's not that bad. But, you know, aside from starting over, there's no reason to work on that one. You know, it'd be better to use this thing for parts than to try to fix it, I guess. You just replace that. You can't really replace these big mechanisms. You know, it's basically the life source and the heart of the jukebox. So you take this out of an old one or a different one. You know, why was it gutted? Probably because it was having all the same issues this one is. So, there you have it. It's gonna kill me to put it away, but I got other fish to fry. I just wanted to see, you know, if this was gonna ruin me or not. And the verdict's still out, I guess. It's just gonna depend on, once I take the time and clean this all up and get it going, will that tell it to do the right things? And if so, does any sound come out? And then it's just, you know, the speakers are the easy thing. You could be real lazy and just buy new ones. So, yep, so that's it for now. Maybe I'll wipe it down a little bit more. Maybe I'll throw a sheet over it. I don't know. But all right, we're just gonna see if it works. I changed my mind. I don't want to take that off because it's gonna be way too much work. So I put a towel behind it. I'm just gonna spray a little bit of this stuff. I think I said earlier that this stuff is expensive. It's not. In comparison to water, it is. But this is only a couple bucks. So we'll just kind of spray it on. Might have to do it a couple times. Let it soak for a minute. And then we'll hook this up to the air compressor and see what we can get done. All right, so I filled that up. I'm gonna do a little bit of this. This is real soft bristle. Let's see, where'd my stuff go? Here it is. Just want to try to work some of this, see if I can get some of the dirt come out of it. I'm gonna have to take these switches apart anyways and clean those, so whatever at this point. I don't recommend that you do this on all your stuff. I wouldn't be doing it on this one, except for the fact that I'm going to be going through the whole thing anyways, right? That's looking like it wants to clean up pretty good. That looks a lot better, don't it?
Let's keep going. Push the actions a little bit.
Dip it a little bit of that clean water from earlier. All right, here we go. Now just some compressed air to push whatever moisture there's left out. Windex. Now again, probably not a good idea if your machine is real close to being done. I have to take all this stuff out anyways and clean it all. So I'm not going to really be making any problems for myself per se, because I have to do the work anyways. I can't really avoid it. And even if I can't save it, there might be somebody who can. And aside from just time, I'm really not out anything. You know, what have I got? A couple dollars worth of cleaning supplies and, you know, a little effort. Which in some regard, even if that's all I do, is kind of rewarding because it makes this thing look a lot prettier than it did. And maybe this will give somebody the, you know, the less heebie-jeebies, you know, as far as maybe trying to take this thing the whole way, even if I'm not gonna. So, value adding with cleaning is kind of the name of the game at this point. But it's really looking pretty good. I don't think it's supposed to look like super uniform blue because it's kind of, I don't know, serrated in some way, so it's got shadows and shiny parts all in different spots. But I would say that that has come a long ways. too bad. Compared to where we were, it almost looks kind of nice, doesn't it? Got some of the tape off. Chrome looks real nice. I bet that looks really cool lit up. So, okay, beautification's about over. We'll be ready for the actual work, but let's look how gross. Yeah. See, another way you could do this too is you could take this mesh off, but then you got to take this whole thing apart, and I don't really feel like doing that. So that's going to be close enough for now, I think. All right, so I got the sides done, cleaned some of that up. Now I'm just going to do a little bit of cleaning on these inside of the doors and the front. And I'll put it all together. And we'll see what we got. Well, and there you have it. So, I should probably do this in the daylight, but from a practical standpoint, it got a lot better. Now, I don't know, there's probably a way to make this cleaner, but I can't believe that it would be anything short of literally taking that whole thing off, which is basically dissecting it piece by piece until you can get that grill to come out, and then like power washing that white stuff behind it. I ain't doing that. So, I mean, it looks like from right here, it looks pretty good, don't it? Especially like from what it was. I'll get some flat black spray paint, and that'll make that look a million times better. But, oh, and I need to get lights for the top. But there we go. That's how she looks at night. Pretty cool. It'll look real neat when the blue is shining out up there. But so, look at that gross water. It's just disgusting. Anyhow, I wanted to get it cleaned up and assessed. Now it's going to be a matter of, you know, really making the commitment to taking the mechanism all the way out, taking it all the way apart, getting everything cleaned up and lubricated like it's supposed to. It can't be rusty or it's not going to run right. Getting all the switches cleaned and adjusted. Then putting it back in and seeing what the there, that looks really cool. Anyways, seeing what the whole selection brain, see what its situation is, but I can't really test one without the other working. So it works enough to put it into play, but it can't do anything past that because it's just too messed up. But there you go. Some cleaning tips on that. Not perfect, but you know, most would have passed, I think, on this thing. And I think it's gonna look just fine. That shiny chrome. All that blue. It'll give a really nice blue ambiance. I think it's 30-inch light, which is ironically the only one I don't have. I have 28s and 36s, but I don't have a 30. That's what both of those are. So another time. One more time. Ta-da!